January 26th, 1945. Eastern France. The Colmar Pocket. A bulge in the Allied lines, where 250,000 German soldiers refused to surrender, refused to retreat, refused to accept that the war is lost. They're dug in deep, fortified, dangerous, and they're about to attack. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy stands at his forward command post near the village of Holtzwihr, telephone in hand, calling in artillery coordinates. He's 19 years old, looks 16, 5'5", 110 pounds soaking wet, baby-faced, soft-spoken, the kind of kid who gets called Shorty and Baby by his fellow soldiers. The kind of kid you'd never expect to survive combat, let alone excel at it. But Audie Murphy isn't a kid. Not anymore. Not after Sicily. Not after Anzio. Not after southern France. Not after watching his best friend die in his arms. Not after earning a battlefield commission. Not after becoming one of the most lethal soldiers in the entire 3rd Infantry Division. He's been in combat for 18 months. He's killed dozens of enemy soldiers, maybe hundreds. He's been wounded twice. He's earned the Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, multiple Bronze Stars. He's already more decorated than most soldiers will ever be, and he's still not old enough to vote. Today, he's about to do something that will make everything else he's done seem like preparation. Today, he's about to earn the Medal of Honor in a way so impossibly, insanely brave that people will question if it actually happened. Today, he's going to climb onto a burning tank destroyer, a vehicle loaded with ammunition and fuel that could explode at any second, and single-handedly hold off 6 German tanks and 250 infantry for over an hour. Today, a 19-year-old kid from the poorest part of Texas is going to prove that heroes aren't born. They're forged in fire. But to understand how a sharecropper's son became the most decorated American soldier of World War II, we need to go back. Back to Texas. Back to poverty so grinding, so absolute, that war seemed like an escape. Back to the moment when a 17-year-old boy decided that he'd rather die fighting for his country than starve in a cotton field. This is the story of Audie Murphy, not the movie star, not the legend, the real man. The boy who became a warrior because he had no other choice. The soldier who faced impossible odds because that's what duty demanded. The hero who never felt like a hero, who carried the weight of war for the rest of his life, who spoke openly about what we now call PTSD decades before anyone else would dare. This is the story of January 26th, 1945. The day a teenager on a burning tank destroyer stopped a German counterattack that could have changed the course of the war. The day that proves courage isn't about being unafraid. It's about being terrified and doing it anyway. This is the story of Audie Murphy. And it begins not in France, but in the hardscrabble fields of northeast Texas, where a boy learned that survival meant fighting long before he ever put on a uniform. June 20th, 1925. A cotton field near Kingston, Texas. Josie Murphy gives birth to her 7th child in a sharecropper's shack that barely qualifies as shelter. No hospital, no doctor, just a midwife and hope. She names the boy Audie Leon Murphy. He arrives into a world that doesn't want him, into a poverty so complete that his survival is uncertain from day one. This is Depression-era rural Texas. This is a place where families don't eat unless they work, where children pick cotton alongside their parents from the time they can walk, where $1 a day is considered good wages, where shoes are a luxury and 3 meals a day is a dream, where people die young from disease, malnutrition, accidents, despair. The Murphy family is poorer than most. Emmett Murphy, Audie's father, is a sharecropper, which means he doesn't own the land he works, doesn't keep most of what he grows, and can be evicted at any moment if the landlord decides. He's also a drinker. He drifts in and out of his family's life, disappearing for days or weeks, contributing little. When he's there, he's often violent, angry, taking his frustration out on his wife and children. Josie does her best. She's raising 12 children. Audie is the 7th, on almost nothing. 8 of them survive to adulthood, 4 don't. That's not unusual for the time and place. Child mortality is high. Medicine is expensive. Doctors are far away. Sometimes babies just die, and you bury them and keep working, because stopping means everyone else dies too. Audie learns early that life is brutal and unfair. He's a small child, skinny, often sick. His classmates call him short breeches because his only pair of pants has shrunk from constant washing and doesn't fit anymore. He's quiet, withdrawn, moody, prone to explosive temper tantrums when pushed too far. A loner, the kind of kid who doesn't fit in, doesn't have friends, spends time alone in the woods. But he has one skill, one thing he's naturally good at: shooting. By the time he's 8 years old, Audie can hit a running rabbit with his father's .22 rifle. He hunts small game, rabbits, squirrels, whatever he can find, to feed his family. He becomes an expert marksman out of necessity. If he misses, his family doesn't eat. If he hits, they do. It's that simple. He drops out of school in 5th grade. Not because he's stupid, because his family needs him working. Picking cotton, doing odd jobs, bringing in whatever money or food he can. Education is a luxury they can't afford. Survival is all that matters. His father finally abandons the family completely when Audie is 14. Just walks away one day and never comes back. Good riddance, as far as Audie's concerned. But it makes everything harder. Now Josie is raising 12 children alone. Audie, as one of the older boys, becomes the man of the house. At 14, barely a teenager, responsible for helping feed and clothe his younger siblings, he works every job he can find: cotton fields, a radio repair shop, a combination gas station, garage, and general store. He's making maybe $1 a day, sometimes less. It's not enough. It's never enough. The family is always one emergency away from complete disaster. And then, in 1941, disaster strikes. Josie contracts endocarditis, an infection of the heart valves, and pneumonia. She needs medical care. They can't afford it. She dies. Audie is 16 years old. His mother's death destroys him. Not just emotionally, though that's bad enough. Practically. The family fragments. The youngest siblings are placed in an orphanage. The older ones scatter, finding work where they can. Audie is left adrift. 16. Barely educated, desperately poor, stuck in a life with no future, no hope, no way out. He looks around at his life and sees exactly where he's headed. He'll be a sharecropper like his father, or a cotton picker, or a labourer. He'll work himself to death for pennies. He'll never escape Texas. Never escape poverty. Never be more than another poor kid who lived hard and died young. He's trapped. And then, on December 7th, 1941, the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor. The United States enters World War II. And suddenly, Audie Murphy sees a way out. January 23rd, 1945. 3 days before the Medal of Honor action, Company B of the 15th Infantry advances through the Bois de Riedvier, a forest near Holtzwihr. The mission is to clear German forces from the Colmar Pocket, a dangerous bulge in Allied lines where 250,000 German troops are dug in. The attack goes badly. The Germans are waiting. Tanks, tank destroyers, infantry, a massive counterattack. Company B is hit hard, devastatingly hard. Of 120 enlisted men, 102 are wounded. Of the officers, all are killed or wounded except one. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy. Audie takes command of what's left. Maybe 40 men, most of them green replacements who've never seen combat before. He leads them into the woods, tries to set up defensive positions, but the ground is frozen solid. They can't dig foxholes, can't create proper cover. They work through the night, chipping at the frozen earth with entrenching tools, but make almost no progress. Come morning, they're exposed, vulnerable. Murphy calls for reinforcements, tank destroyers, armoured vehicles, anything that can help fortify their position. He gets 2 M10 tank destroyers from the 601st Tank Destroyer Battalion and a few other armoured vehicles. It's not much, but it's something. He positions them to create a defensive line. The tank destroyers are powerful. Each one carries a 3-inch gun that can take out German armour, but they're also vulnerable. Open-topped, lightly armoured. A direct hit will kill everyone inside. From this position, they can see Holtzwihr, a small village, heavily defended. German positions all through the area. Trees, buildings. Perfect cover for infantry and tanks. Audie studies the terrain, calculates fields of fire, anticipates where an attack will come from. He's learned to think like this, to see the battlefield not as chaos, but as a puzzle with deadly pieces. January 24th. Waiting. Tense. The Germans are out there. Everyone knows it. Scouts report enemy movement. Tanks being repositioned. Infantry concentrating. An attack is coming. The question is when, and how hard. January 25th. Still waiting. Audie is told his reinforcements haven't arrived yet. Won't arrive today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. Hold the position with what you have. Don't let the Germans break through. That's the order. Hold. With 40 men and a handful of armoured vehicles against what intelligence suggests is a much larger force. That night, Audie barely sleeps. He stays at his command post, basically a shallow depression in the ground with a field telephone, going over plans, calling in artillery coordinates, making sure everyone knows their position, checking weapons, ammunition, preparing for what's coming. January 26th. Dawn breaks cold and grey. Fog clings to the ground. Visibility is poor. Audie stands at his command post, telephone in hand, binoculars around his neck, scanning the tree line near Holtzwihr. Quiet. Too quiet. Then the fog begins to lift, and Audie sees them. German tanks, panzers, 6 of them, moving across the open ground toward his position. Behind them, infantry. Lots of infantry. 250 men, maybe more. A full company, and they're coming straight at him. Audie gets on the telephone, calls in artillery coordinates, needs fire support now. The artillery responds. Shells begin falling on the advancing Germans. It slows them down, kills some, but not enough. They keep coming. The German tanks open fire. High explosive shells scream overhead. Impact near the American positions. Trees explode. Dirt erupts. The American tank destroyers return fire. One of them, Audie doesn't see which, gets a direct hit on a German tank. It brews up, explodes, burns. The crew bails out. Some of them are cut down by machine gun fire. Some escape. 5 German tanks left. Still coming. The infantry is advancing now, using the terrain, moving from cover to cover. Professional. Coordinated. These aren't green troops. These are veterans. German soldiers who've been fighting since Poland. Maybe France. Maybe Russia. Men who know how to attack. How to kill. Audie orders his men to fall back. Get to the woods. Set up defensive positions there. Use the trees for cover. He'll stay forward. He'll direct artillery. He'll hold them as long as he can. Give the company time to retreat and regroup. His men hesitate. They don't want to leave him. Don't want to abandon their lieutenant. But Audie's voice is calm. Firm. Not a request. An order. Go. Now. They go. Running back toward the trees. Some of them glancing over their shoulders at the small figure standing alone at the command post. The Germans are closer now. 300 yards. 250. 200. Audie calls in more artillery. Adjusts the coordinates. Closer. Danger close. The shells are landing close enough that he can feel the concussions. Close enough that shrapnel is buzzing past him. But it's working. The German infantry is taking casualties, piling up. The attack is slowing, but not stopping. They keep coming, and the tanks are getting into position. 200 yards away now, their guns elevated, aiming at the American positions, at the tank destroyers, at Audie. Boom! A German tank shell hits one of the American tank destroyers. Direct hit. The M10 explodes, ammunition cooking off. Fire erupting. The crew bails out, running, screaming, some of them on fire. They make it to the woods. The tank destroyer burns, black smoke pouring into the sky. Audie is alone now, standing at his command post, telephone in hand, artillery still raining down on the Germans. But it's not enough. They're going to overrun his position. They're going to break through. They're going to slaughter his company in the woods. He can't stop them. Not from here. Not with just a telephone and a carbine. He looks at the burning tank destroyer. 30 yards to his right. Flames licking at the turret. Ammunition inside. Fuel tanks. It could explode at any moment. But the 50 caliber machine gun is still mounted on the turret ring. The big Mar-Deuce. The weapon that can cut men in half. That can stop infantry cold. And Audie makes a decision that defies all logic, all sense, all self-preservation. He's going to climb onto that burning vehicle. He's going to use that machine gun. He's going to stop this attack. Or he's going to die trying. The military. It's a path out of poverty. A path to adventure. Maybe glory. Definitely escape. Audie has listened to his uncle's stories about fighting in France during World War I. He's dreamed about being a soldier. Now's his chance. He walks to the nearest recruiting station. He's 17, underweight, undersized, baby-faced. He tries to enlist in the Marines. They take one look at him and laugh. No, too small, too young, too weak. Get lost, kid. He tries the army. Same response. Come back when you're bigger, when you're older, when you look like you could actually carry a rifle. Audie is devastated, humiliated. But he's not defeated. He never gets defeated. He goes home and spends the next few months eating as much as he can afford, Mostly bananas and milk, cheap calories, trying to put on weight. His older sister signs a document attesting that he's 18. He practices looking older, standing taller, acting tougher. June 30th, 1942. He walks back into an army recruiting station in Dallas. This time they accept him. Private Audie Murphy, service number. Off to basic training at Camp Walters, Texas. He's done it. He's escaped. Basic training is hard. 13 weeks of drills, marches, weapons training, physical conditioning. Audie thrives. This is his element. The structure, the camaraderie, the sense of belonging. For the first time in his life, he has 3 meals a day. Clean clothes, a place to sleep, guys who are becoming his friends. He loves it. His fellow soldiers call him baby because of his youthful face. Some of them think he won't make it. He's too small, too skinny. The training sergeants suggest he become a cook or a baker. Something safe. Something where his size won't be a liability. Audie refuses. Absolutely not. He didn't join the army to cook. He joined to fight. He's going to be infantry, front line, combat. That's what he came for. His marksmanship is exceptional. Of course it is. He's been shooting since he was 8. He qualifies easily, though not at the highest level because he's used to hunting, shooting at moving targets from irregular positions, not shooting from fixed stances at stationary targets, but put a rifle in his hands in actual combat conditions, and he's deadly. Instinctively deadly. After basic training, advanced infantry training at Fort Meade, Maryland. More drills, more weapons, learning tactics, squad movements, how to fight as part of a unit. Audie adapts easily. He's good at following orders, good at learning, good at being a soldier. He makes corporal. 2 stripes. A promotion based on performance and potential. February 1943. He ships out to North Africa, joins Company B, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division, the Rock of the Marne Division, famous from World War I. He's assigned to a rifle company. Exactly what he wanted. He's 18 years old, going to war. Finally going to prove himself. North Africa is hot, dusty, boring. The fighting there is mostly over by the time Audie arrives. He spends months training, marching, waiting. It's frustrating. He didn't come halfway around the world to sit in a camp. He came to fight, to kill Germans, to prove he's not just some poor kid from Texas. He's a soldier, and soldiers fight. July 10th, 1943. The invasion of Sicily. Audie's introduction to combat. His regiment lands at Licata. The fighting is immediate, chaotic, terrifying. Nothing like training. Real bullets. Real explosions. Real people dying. Audie sees men he trained with get hit. Sees them fall. Sees them scream. Sees them die. And he discovers something about himself. Something that will define the rest of his military career. He's not afraid. He should be. Everyone else is. But when the bullets start flying, when the mortars start falling, when the situation turns to chaos and terror, Audie stays calm. Focused. Deadly. He doesn't panic. He doesn't freeze. He fights. 5 days into Sicily, he makes corporal. Then sergeant. Promotions come fast in combat because people die fast, and capable men are needed to replace them. Audie is more than capable. He's a natural. He can read terrain, anticipate enemy positions, move efficiently under fire, and most importantly, he can shoot. When Audie Murphy aims at someone, that person dies. It's almost mechanical. He sees. He aims. He fires. Target down. Next target. His commanders notice. His men notice. There's something about this small, quiet kid from Texas. Something cold. Something lethal. He doesn't enjoy killing. He's not a psychopath. But he's good at it. Exceptionally good. And in war, that matters more than almost anything else. Italy. September 1943. The campaign moves to the mainland, Salerno. Then the grinding push north through mountains and mud, Anzio, the meat grinder, where Allied forces are pinned on a beachhead for months, taking casualties daily from German artillery and counterattacks, where men die in their foxholes from random shells, where the stress and exhaustion break soldiers' minds. Audie fights through it all. He's been promoted to staff sergeant now. Leading a squad. Responsible for keeping his men alive while accomplishing the mission. It's a terrible responsibility for a teenager, but he handles it. He's earned his men's respect not through bluster or bravado, but through competence and courage. When Audie says, "Follow me," his men follow, because they know he won't get them killed unnecessarily. And they know that if they're in trouble, he'll fight like hell to get them out. One incident at Anzio becomes famous. Audie and his platoon are holding a position near an abandoned farmhouse. A German tank approaches. Audie grabs rifle grenades launched from the end of a rifle, and destroys the tank. Then he kills the crew as they bail out. His men watch in awe. This kid just killed a tank with a rifle and walked away like it was nothing. He's awarded the Bronze Star with a V device for valor. Rome falls in June 1944. The division rests briefly, then prepares for the next operation. August 15th, 1944. Operation Dragoon, the invasion of southern France. Audie's platoon lands on Yellow Beach near Ramatuelle. They're immediately under fire. German machine guns in the hills above the beach are cutting men down. The landing bogs down. Men are pinned, dying. Audie doesn't wait for orders. He grabs a machine gun, returns fire, kills 2 Germans, wounds another. 2 Germans exit a house about 100 yards away, waving white cloth, asking to surrender. One of Audie's closest friends, a soldier named Latty Tipton, starts forward to take them prisoner. The Germans shoot him. It's a trap. They were pretending to surrender to draw someone into the open. Latty goes down. Audie watches his best friend die, watches the life drain out of him right there on a French beach. And something inside Audie changes. He advances on the house alone, under direct fire. Machine guns, rifles, bullets snapping past his head. He doesn't care, doesn't stop, reaches the house, kicks in the door, kills 6 Germans inside, wounds 2 more, takes 11 prisoners from nearby positions, all by himself. In a few minutes of berserk, focused fury, he's awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, second only to the Medal of Honor, for that action. He's also offered a battlefield commission. The army wants to make him an officer. He refuses at first. He doesn't want to leave his men, doesn't want to be an officer giving orders from the rear. But his commanders insist. The army needs leaders. Audie is a natural leader. He reluctantly accepts. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy, 19 years old, an officer now, responsible for an entire company. September. He's wounded. Hip injury from shrapnel. Not serious enough to evacuate him, but painful. He recovers at a field hospital, then returns to his unit. October. Back in combat. The push into the Vosges Mountains. Heavy fighting. Cold. Wet. Miserable. Men dying from exposure as much as from enemy fire. And that's how Audie comes to be standing at a forward command post near Holtzwihr on January 26, 1945. Already a hero, already proven, already more decorated than most men who survive entire wars, but not yet a legend. That comes next. Audie drops the telephone. Not gently, just drops it. Grabs his M1 carbine, runs toward the burning tank destroyer. 30 yards. Through open ground. Under fire. German bullets crack past him. Hit the ground near his feet. He doesn't stop. Doesn't slow. Reaches the tank destroyer. Climbs up. The heat hits him like a physical wall. The vehicle is burning. Really burning. Flames inside the hull. Smoke pouring out. The ammunition could explode any second. When it does, it'll kill him instantly. He'll be vaporized. Won't even leave enough to bury. He doesn't care. He swings the .50 caliber around. Checks the ammunition belt. Still loaded. He chambers around. Aims at the advancing German infantry. They're 150 yards away now. Close enough that he can see their faces. See their uniforms. See their weapons. He opens fire. The .50 caliber is a monster of a weapon. Browning M2, heavy machine gun, fires 550 rounds per minute. Each round is a half-inch diameter bullet, travelling at nearly 3,000 feet per second. Designed to punch through light armour, designed to destroy vehicles. When you hit a human with a .50 cal round, it doesn't just wound them, it devastates them. Audie sweeps the gun across the German infantry line. The effect is immediate and terrible. Men go down, not falling, exploding, body parts flying, blood misting the air. The advance stutters, stops. The Germans dive for cover. But they're professionals. They recover quickly. They return fire. Rifles, machine guns, everything they have. All of it focused on the lone American standing on top of the burning tank destroyer. Bullets ping off the metal around Audie, punch through the thin armour, snap past his head. He can hear them. That distinctive crack, crack, crack of near misses. Any one of them could kill him. All it takes is one. He keeps firing, short bursts, controlled, picking targets. A squad of Germans trying to flank left. Dead. Another group advancing through a ditch. Dead. An officer standing up to wave his men forward. Dead. Audie's not thinking. He's operating on instinct. See threat. Eliminate threat. See threat. Eliminate threat. The .50 caliber roars. Brass casings pour from the ejection port. The barrel starts to glow red from the heat. The German tanks adjust their fire. They've identified the threat. That lone figure on the burning tank destroyer. They're turning their guns toward him. Audie sees the barrels moving. Knows what's coming. He can't do anything about it. The .50 cal can't hurt a tank. He's completely exposed. If they hit the tank destroyer, he's dead. If they hit near it, the concussion will kill him, or the shrapnel will shred him. He keeps firing. The Germans send a squad, crawling up a ditch, trying to get close, trying to kill him. Audie sees them, adjusts his fire. The 50 cal rakes the ditch. Bodies tumble. The advance stops. More Germans try from another angle. Same result. They can't get close. Not while he's on that gun. Not while he's firing. The telephone is lying on the ground back at the command post. Audie can still use it. He climbs down. Quick, exposed, dangerous. Grabs the phone, climbs back up. Now he's firing and calling in artillery. Multitasking in hell. He gives coordinates. Adjusts fire. The shells walk closer to the German positions. More casualties. The attack is losing momentum. But it's not stopping. The Germans are determined. They outnumber him massively. They have tanks. They have hundreds of infantry. All they have to do is get one good shot, one lucky shell, one grenade close enough. And he's done. Except they can't. Because every time they try to advance, Audie cuts them down. Every time they mass for a push, he sees them and rakes them with fire. Every time they think they can rush him, the 50 caliber proves them wrong. He's one man, but he's the right man, in the right place, with the right weapon, and he's not giving up. Minutes pass. 5, 10, 15. The tank destroyer is still burning under him, still on the verge of exploding. The Germans are still attacking, still dying. Audie is still firing, still calling artillery, still standing alone on a burning vehicle in the middle of a battlefield, holding off a force that should have overrun him in minutes. His men in the woods are watching. They can't believe what they're seeing. Their lieutenant, that skinny kid from Texas, standing on a burning tank destroyer, exposed, alone, fighting an entire German company, not retreating, not dying, just fighting, killing, refusing to give an inch. 20 minutes, 30. The German attack is faltering now. They're taking too many casualties, too many dead, too many wounded. The tanks can't advance without infantry support, and the infantry can't advance while Audie is on that machine gun. They're stuck, pinned, being slaughtered. 40 minutes. Audie's leg is bleeding. He's been hit. Shrapnel or a bullet, he's not sure. Doesn't matter. He can still stand. Can still fire. He keeps fighting. The pain is distant, unimportant. All that matters is the gun. The targets. Keep firing. Keep them back. Protect his men. 50 minutes. The Germans are pulling back. Retreating. They've had enough. They've taken too many casualties. Lost too many men. The attack is broken. Audie has stopped them. One man. One machine gun. One impossible hour of courage. And then the clouds part. American aircraft appear. P-47 Thunderbolts. Close air support. They strafe the German positions. Bomb the tanks. The Germans retreat faster. Running now. The battle is over. Audie climbs down from the tank destroyer. His leg is bleeding badly now. He's lightheaded, exhausted. But he walks back to his command post, picks up the telephone, calls his company commander. They're retreating. Send the men forward. We're counterattacking. His men emerge from the woods. They see Audie, wounded, covered in blood and smoke and brass, standing there like nothing happened, like he didn't just do the impossible. They advance. The Germans are in full retreat now. Audie leads the counterattack despite his wound. They push forward, retake ground, kill or wound another 50 Germans in the pursuit. Only when the position is secured does Audie allow the medics to treat his leg. Only when he's sure his men are safe does he finally let himself feel the exhaustion. The fear he didn't have time for during the fight. The realization of what just happened, what he just survived. He killed over 50 Germans. Personally. With the .50 caliber and his carbine. Held off 6 tanks and 250 infantry for an hour. Alone. On a burning vehicle that could have exploded any second. Saved his entire company. Stopped a German counterattack that could have broken through Allied lines and endangered the entire operation. Later, when asked how close the Germans got, he'll reply, "Within 10 yards. Just hold the phone, and I'll let you talk to one of the bastards." When asked why he did it, why he climbed onto that burning tank destroyer, he'll shrug. "They were killing my men. I had to stop them." It's that simple to him. That's what you do. You protect your men, no matter the cost, no matter the risk. You fight, because that's what soldiers do. That's what leaders do. That's what's required. On June 2nd, 1945, at an airfield near Werfen, Austria, Lieutenant General Alexander Patch presents Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy with the Medal of Honor. The citation reads, "For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty in action with the enemy on January 26, 1945, near Holtzwihr, France." The words don't do justice to what happened. They can't. No words can. But they try. They describe the burning tank destroyer, the enemy tanks and infantry, the hour of combat, the wound he ignored, the leadership he displayed, the impossible courage. Audie is 19 years old. He's the most decorated American soldier of World War II. 33 awards and decorations. Every medal for valor the United States can offer. Multiple French and Belgian decorations. A legend. A hero. The face of American courage. And he hates it. He's uncomfortable with the attention. Uncomfortable with the praise. He doesn't feel like a hero. He feels like a survivor. A man who did what he had to do and got lucky. He thinks about the men who died, his friends, the soldiers who didn't make it home. They're the heroes, not him. But that's not how the world sees it. That's not how history remembers it. To everyone else, Audie Murphy is the hero. The kid from Texas who proved that size doesn't matter, that age doesn't matter, that courage comes from the heart, not the body. That one man, in the right place, at the right time, with the right determination, can change the course of a battle, can save lives, can make history. May 8th, 1945. Germany surrenders. The war in Europe is over. Audie has survived. Against all odds, against statistical probability, against common sense, he's made it through. He's 20 years old. Looks 17. Has killed over 200 Germans in confirmed actions, maybe dozens more in battles where counts weren't kept. Has been wounded 3 times. Has earned more medals than any other American soldier in the war. And now he has to figure out how to live with what he's done. The transition from war to peace is jarring. Sudden. One day you're fighting for your life. The next day, the war's over. You're supposed to just stop. Stop being a soldier. Stop thinking like everything's a threat. Stop reacting with violence. Just be normal. Go home. Be a civilian. As if it's that easy. It's not easy. For any veteran, The transition is hard. For Audie Murphy, who's been in almost constant combat for 2 years, who's killed hundreds of men, who's watched friends die, who's survived impossible situations through a combination of skill and luck, it's nearly impossible. He's discharged from the army on September 21st, 1945, returns to the United States, to Texas. He's a hero, a national celebrity. His picture appears on the cover of Life magazine in July 1945, the most decorated soldier. The article makes him famous. People recognize him on the street, want his autograph, want to shake his hand, want to hear his stories. He hates it. He's not comfortable with fame, never asked for it, never wanted it. He did his job. That's all. Other men did their jobs too, died doing their jobs. Why is he special? Because he survived? That's not heroism, that's luck. But fame finds him anyway. Actor James Cagney sees the Life magazine cover, sees potential, invites Audie to Hollywood, offers to help him become an actor. Audie is skeptical. He has no acting experience, no training, no education. He dropped out in 5th grade. He's a soldier. That's what he knows. That's what he's good at. But what else is he going to do? Go back to Texas? Pick cotton? Work at a gas station? He escaped that life once. He's not going back. So he takes Cagney's offer, goes to Hollywood, starts trying to be an actor. It's hard. Really hard. Acting requires training, skill, practice. Audie has none of that. His early auditions are disasters. He's too stiff, too uncomfortable, too clearly reading lines without feeling them. Directors see him and think he's just a war hero trying to trade on his fame, not a real actor, not someone who can carry a film. But Audie is stubborn, always has been. He doesn't quit. He takes acting lessons, studies, practices, works at it the way he worked at being a soldier, relentlessly, methodically, refusing to fail. Slowly, he improves. 1948. His first small role. Texas, Brooklyn, and Heaven. Barely a bit part. But it's something. A start. Then Beyond Glory, a film with Alan Ladd. Another small role. But he's on screen. He's learning. 1949. Bad Boy. His first lead role. The reviews are mixed, but the film does okay. He's getting better. And he writes. In 1949, he publishes his autobiography, To Hell and Back, the story of his time in World War II. It's honest, brutal, doesn't glorify war, doesn't make himself sound like a superhero. Just tells what happened, what he saw, what he did, what it cost. The book is a bestseller. Critics praise its honesty. Veterans recognize themselves in it. The public can't get enough. Audie Murphy. The war hero is now Audie Murphy, the best-selling author. His fame grows. 1950. Universal Studios offers him a 7-year contract. $2,500 a week. It's more money than he ever imagined. More than his family saw in years. He signs, starts making westerns, lots of westerns, low-budget films where he plays cowboys and gunslingers. He's good at it. The physicality, the action, the riding and shooting. That's comfortable for him. 1955. Universal adapts To Hell and Back into a film. They offer the lead role to Tony Curtis. He turns it down. They offer it to Audie. Play yourself. Tell your story. Audie is reluctant. He doesn't want to relive the war, doesn't want to act out the things he actually did. But he agrees. For his men, for the guys who didn't come home. He wants the movie to honor them. To Hell and Back is a massive success. The biggest box office hit Universal has made in years. It'll hold the record as their highest grossing film until Jaws in 1975. Audie's performance is good. Not great, he's still learning, but authentic. You believe him. You believe this is a man who's seen war. Because he has. His career takes off. More films, better roles. By the mid-50s, he's one of Hollywood's most popular stars. He makes over 40 films in 20 years. Westerns mostly, but also war films, crime dramas. He's not a great actor by classical standards, but he's believable. He has presence. The camera loves his face. That baby face that saw so much horror. But behind the success, Audie is struggling. Badly. He can't sleep. Nightmares. Every night. Dreams about the war. About dead friends. About Germans he killed. About the burning tank destroyer. About all of it. He wakes up screaming, sweating, terrified. His wife, he marries actress Wanda Hendricks in 1949, doesn't understand. How can she? She's never been to war. She tries to help, but it pushes them apart. They divorce in 1951. He remarries, Pamela Archer, in 1951. She's more understanding, more patient. They have 2 sons together. But the problems don't go away. The nightmares continue. The insomnia, the hypervigilance, the way he flinches at loud noises, the way he can't relax in crowds, the way he sleeps with a loaded gun under his pillow. He starts taking sleeping pills, prescription medication. It helps him sleep, but it's addictive. He becomes dependent on them, needs them to function. He's also dealing with mood swings, depression, anger, explosive outbursts, classic signs of what we now call PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. In 1955, Audie does something incredibly brave. He speaks publicly about his struggles, talks about the nightmares, the anxiety, the medication, the difficulty adjusting to civilian life. This is 1955. Nobody talks about mental health, especially not tough guys, especially not war heroes. Admitting you're struggling mentally is seen as weakness, as failure, as being less than a man. Audie doesn't care. He speaks out anyway. Because he knows other veterans are suffering too, knows they're struggling in silence, knows they need help. He calls on the government to provide better mental health care for veterans, to study the emotional impact of combat, to extend benefits. His advocacy makes a difference. Not immediately, but over time. It helps shift the conversation, helps reduce the stigma, helps other veterans feel like they're not alone. It's one of the most courageous things Audie does. Not on a battlefield, in public, admitting vulnerability, asking for help, demanding better for his fellow soldiers. But his personal life continues to struggle. He makes money, a lot of money, from acting, but he's terrible with it. He invests in bad business ventures, ranching, quarter horse breeding and racing, an Algerian oil company. All of them lose money. He gambles, loses more. He's generous to a fault, loans money to friends who don't pay him back. By the late 60s, he's in serious financial trouble. The IRS comes after him for unpaid taxes. He owes hundreds of thousands, more than he has. In 1968, he declares bankruptcy. The most decorated American soldier of World War II, Hollywood star, national hero, broke. He refuses to do commercials for cigarettes or alcohol. Companies offer him big money, easy money, to endorse their products. He turns them down, says it would be a bad influence on young people. Even when he desperately needs the cash, he maintains his principles. That's Audie. Stubborn, principled, more concerned about doing right than doing well. His acting career winds down in the late 60s. The westerns aren't popular anymore. The studios move away from contract players. He makes his last film, A Time for Dying, in 1969. He's 44 years old. His Hollywood career is over. He looks for other work, other opportunities. He's still Audie Murphy, still famous, still connected. But the money problems persist. The mental health issues persist. He's taking sleeping pills. He's stressed. He's aging hard. The war took its toll. The years after took more. May 28th, 1971. Audie is on a business trip, flying in a private plane through Virginia near Roanoke. The weather is bad. Fog, rain, visibility near zero. The pilot gets disoriented, crashes into the side of Brush Mountain. The plane disintegrates on impact. Everyone aboard is killed instantly. Audie Murphy, the pilot, 4 other passengers, dead. He was 46 years old. June 7th, 1971. Arlington National Cemetery. A funeral with full military honors. The caisson. The flag-draped coffin. The honor guard. The 21-gun salute. The playing of taps. Thousands attend. Veterans. Dignitaries. Hollywood stars. Regular people who remember what he did. Who he was. What he represented. They bury him near the Memorial Amphitheater. Plot 46, Section 166. A simple white headstone. His name. His rank. His service dates. His Medal of Honor is noted. But the stone doesn't tell the story. Can't tell the story. How do you sum up Audie Murphy's life in a few lines on a marker? Poor kid from Texas escapes poverty through military service. Becomes the most decorated American soldier of World War II. Climbs onto a burning tank destroyer and single-handedly stops a German company. Survives the war. Becomes a Hollywood star. Speaks out about PTSD before anyone else will. Struggles with demons for the rest of his life. Dies too young in a plane crash. It doesn't fit. It's too much. Too complex. Too human. His grave becomes the second most visited at Arlington, after President Kennedy. Millions of people over the years stop at Audie Murphy's headstone. Veterans especially. They come to pay respects, to remember, to say thank you. A special walkway had to be built because so many people were wearing down the grass. Why? Why does Audie Murphy matter so much? Why do people remember him when so many other heroes are forgotten? Because his story is pure. It's American in the best sense. A poor kid who has nothing, who works hard, who fights for his country, who becomes more than anyone expected, who proves that courage isn't about size or strength. It's about heart, about determination, about doing what's right even when it's terrifying. And because he was honest. He didn't pretend war was glorious, didn't pretend he was fearless, didn't pretend surviving was easy. He told the truth about the fear, the nightmares, the cost. He was a hero who admitted heroes are just people, flawed, scared, doing their best. That honesty resonates. That humanity resonates. Audie Murphy isn't some distant marble figure. He's real, relatable. He struggled with the same things other veterans struggled with. He just did it publicly. And that made him not just a war hero, but a real hero. Someone who fought 2 wars. One against the Germans, one against his own demons, and kept fighting even when he was tired and broken and ready to give up. Let's go back to January 26th, 1945, to that burning tank destroyer, to that impossible hour, because that's what defines Audie Murphy for most people. That's the moment, the image, the story that captures everything. 19 years old, 5'5", 110 pounds, standing on top of a vehicle that's literally on fire, that could explode any second, facing 6 tanks and 250 enemy soldiers, armed with a machine gun and pure determination, fighting for an hour, wounded, alone, refusing to quit, refusing to die, refusing to let his men down. It's the kind of thing that seems impossible, the kind of thing that Hollywood invents because reality isn't dramatic enough. Except it's not invented. It happened. Witnesses saw it. After-action reports documented it. German survivors confirmed it. Audie Murphy really did that. Why? What makes someone do that? What makes someone climb onto a burning vehicle in the middle of a battle and fight alone against impossible odds? Training plays a part. Audie was a superbly trained soldier. He knew weapons, knew tactics, knew how to fight. But training doesn't explain it. Plenty of well-trained soldiers wouldn't do what he did. Couldn't do what he did. Duty plays a part. Audie felt responsible for his men, felt like protecting them was his job, his obligation. He was their officer, their leader. If he didn't stop that German attack, they'd die. So he had to stop it. Simple as that. But duty alone doesn't explain it either. Plenty of officers feel duty without doing something so suicidally brave. Maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe Audie Murphy climbed onto that tank destroyer because he'd been fighting his whole life. Fighting poverty. Fighting to feed his family. Fighting to survive. Fighting to prove himself. Fighting to escape. War was just one more fight. And he was good at fighting. Better than anyone. So when the moment came, when the choice was between doing the impossible or watching his men die, he chose the impossible. Because that's what he always did. Chose the harder path, the more dangerous path. The path that gave him a chance to win, even when the odds were against him. He bet on himself, again and again, and he kept winning. Until he didn't. Until that plane crashed in Virginia and he finally lost the fight. But for 1 hour on January 26, 1945, Audie Murphy won so completely, so impossibly, so courageously, that it became legend. One man against a company. One machine gun against tanks and hundreds of infantry. 1 hour that saved his company. That stopped a German counterattack. That earned him the Medal of Honor. That proved heroes aren't born. They're made. By circumstance, by courage, by the sheer refusal to quit. Today, Audie Murphy is mostly forgotten outside of military circles. The young don't know his name. He's not taught in schools. His movies are old, black and white mostly. His war happened 8 decades ago. The veterans who knew him are nearly all gone. But his story matters. Now more than ever. Because it's a story about what people are capable of when pushed to their limits. About what courage really looks like. About the cost of war. Not just the immediate cost of blood and death, but the long-term cost of trauma and struggle and nightmares that never fully go away. Audie Murphy killed hundreds of enemy soldiers. But he wasn't a monster. He was a man doing his job. A job that required killing. A job he was good at. But that didn't make it easy. Didn't make it something he enjoyed. Didn't make it something he could forget. He carried those kills for the rest of his life. Carried the faces, the moments, the knowledge of what he'd done. It haunted him, gave him nightmares, made him reach for sleeping pills, made him flinch at loud noises, made him unable to fully relax, fully trust, fully be at peace. That's the reality of war, not the glory, not the medals, the aftermath, the weight, the cost that never stops accumulating. Audie spoke about it publicly, risked his reputation, his image, his career, because he thought it mattered more than protecting the myth of the fearless warrior. He was right. It does matter. Veterans need to know they're not alone. That struggles with PTSD aren't weakness. That nightmares and anxiety and difficulty adjusting aren't failure. They're normal. Expected. Part of the cost of sending men and women to war. Part of what we owe to the people who fight for us. Audie Murphy understood that, lived it, spoke about it, and in doing so, he may have helped more people after the war than he saved during it. The Audie Murphy American Cotton Museum in Greenville, Texas, preserves his legacy. Photos, uniforms, medals, letters, the story of his life from cotton fields to Hollywood. Thousands visit each year, learning, remembering, honoring. The National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. displays his Medal of Honor citation, the Price of Freedom exhibit, Americans at War. Audie Murphy represents World War II. His story, his sacrifice, his courage. Fort Hood, Texas, now Fort Cavazos, established the Audie Murphy Club in 1986. For outstanding non-commissioned officers, NCOs who embody the values Audie represented. Leadership, courage, dedication. It's spread to other installations. The club's logo features a burning tank destroyer, the symbol of his finest hour. The state of Texas declared June 20th, his birthday, as Audie Murphy Day, a day to remember and honor him, to teach his story, to ensure he's not forgotten. These memorials matter. Not because Audie was perfect. He wasn't. He struggled, made mistakes, had flaws, but because his story is important. It teaches lessons we need, about courage under fire, about duty, about sacrifice, about the cost of war, about the strength it takes to admit weakness, about fighting demons long after the shooting stops, and about what one person can do. One small, poor, uneducated kid from Texas who refused to quit, who climbed onto a burning tank destroyer because his men needed him to, who fought for an hour against impossible odds because that's what the moment demanded, who survived and then fought a different war, against PTSD, against financial struggles, against the weight of being a living legend with the same determination. Audie Murphy died in 1971, but his example lives on in every soldier who faces impossible odds and fights anyway, in every veteran who struggles with PTSD and seeks help, in every poor kid who enlists hoping for a better life and finds courage they didn't know they had, in every person who looks at their circumstances and decides they're not defined by where they came from, but by what they choose to do. That's the legacy. Not just the Medal of Honor, not just the burning tank destroyer, not just the 50 Germans killed in 1 hour. The example, the inspiration, the proof that ordinary people can do extraordinary things, that heroes are made, not born, that courage is a choice, and any of us can choose it. Picture it one more time. January 26th, 1945. Cold morning. Eastern France. A 19-year-old lieutenant standing alone at his command post. German tanks approaching. Infantry behind them. 250 enemy soldiers coming to kill him and his men. He could run. No one would blame him. The odds are impossible. Retreat is the sensible option. But his men are in those woods. They're counting on him. If he runs, they die. So he doesn't run. He climbs onto a burning tank destroyer. Alone. Exposed. Armed with a machine gun and absolute determination. The vehicle could explode any second. The Germans could kill him any second. It doesn't matter. His men need him. So he fights. For an hour. 1 hour that changed everything. 1 hour that saved a company. 1 hour that stopped a counterattack. 1 hour that earned the Medal of Honor. 1 hour that proved what one person can do when they refuse to accept defeat. That's Audie Murphy. Not the movie star. Not the legend. The real man. The soldier. The hero. Standing on a burning tank destroyer in the middle of a battlefield, machine gun in hand, wounded leg, smoke and fire and death all around, looking at impossible odds and saying, no, not today, not while I'm still standing, not while I can still fight. And fighting. And winning. That's the image. That's the story. That's what we remember. 1 hour. 1 man. 1 impossible stand. That's Audie Murphy. That's heroism. That's what it looks like when someone decides that duty matters more than fear, that protecting others matters more than protecting yourself, that doing the right thing matters more than doing the safe thing. 1 hour on a burning tank destroyer. 1 19-year-old kid from Texas. Against 6 tanks and 250 Germans. And he won. Remember that. Remember him. Remember what he did. Remember what he paid. Remember that he fought 2 wars. 1 with guns, 1 with demons, and kept fighting until he couldn't anymore. Remember Audie Murphy, the most decorated American soldier of World War II. The kid from Texas who climbed onto a burning tank destroyer and single-handedly stopped a German company. The man who spoke truth about war's cost when no one else would. The hero who admitted heroes are human. Remember him. Honor him. Learn from him. Because his story matters. His sacrifice matters. His courage matters. His honesty matters. His struggle matters. All of it matters. Audie Murphy, June 20th, 1925 to May 28th, 1971. 46 years. Not enough. Never enough. But in those years, he showed us what humans are capable of. At their best, at their most courageous, at their most determined. He showed us that size doesn't matter, that poverty doesn't define you, that one person in the right place, doing the right thing, can change history. He showed us heroism, real heroism. Not the Hollywood version, the version that's scared and wounded and tired but fights anyway. The version that never quits. The version that saves lives and pays the cost and keeps going even when it hurts. That's Audie Murphy. That's his legacy. That's what we honour when we visit his grave, when we tell his story, when we remember January 26th, 1945, when we remember the burning tank destroyer, when we remember the 19-year-old kid who refused to let his men die. Remember him. Always. Because heroes like that don't come along often. And when they do, we owe them memory. We owe them honour. We owe them the promise that their sacrifice wasn't in vain, that we learned, that we grew, that we became better because they showed us how. Audie Murphy showed us how, on a burning tank destroyer, for one impossible hour, facing 6 tanks and 250 Germans, standing alone, fighting, winning. That's the story. That's the truth. That's the legend that happens to be real. Remember it, tell it, honour it, because some stories are too important to forget. Some heroes are too significant to let fade. Some moments are too powerful to let slip into obscurity. January 26th, 1945. Audie Murphy. Burning tank destroyer. Medal of Honor. 1 hour that defined a lifetime. One act of courage that inspires generations. Remember.